Today I'm going to be talking about my diagnosis story and why it took me 2 years to get diagnosed with Lyme disease. If you see me looking down, I have my notes here. Um, Gosh, this camera is not doing too good today. Okay, there we go. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So in January of 2016, I was bit by what we believe is a tick. I'm not sure because I never saw it, but most likely if you have Lyme disease, you got it from a tick. So, like I said, I was bit, but I didn't know, I never saw a tick, so I didn't think it was a problem. I lived in a very wooded area. I thought that maybe it was a spider bite or I was having an allergic reaction. I don't know, but I didn't know what a bullseye rash was. I had no idea. I don't remember ever seeing it. So yeah, that's why I do what I do, raise awareness, but we'll get back to that. So yeah, I was bit in 2016. I had a rash. My rash looked like two circles on my leg. One was like this big, and then the other one was like this big. So it wasn't really a bullseye, which most bullseye rashes or many bullseye rashes aren't. It was just like two red, hot, weird raised circles. It was weird. Um, at the time, I had fatigue and what seemed like a common cold. But I was working at Forever 21 at the time, and I was a visual merchandiser, and I was working crazy shifts. I mean, like 4 a.m. shifts, just weird things. So I just assumed that I was so tired and that my immune system was lowered because I was working those crazy hours. So I didn't think anything of it. Um, so I went to the emergency room in February, but again, um, I didn't actually think that anything was terribly wrong. I just had a headache and I was concerned and thought that I needed to look into something. So that's what I did. I had no idea about Lyme disease or anything like that. Um, so time went on, life went on. Like I said, I didn't think anything was wrong. Then I started working at H&M. When you're a visual merchandiser at H&M, they send you away for training. So I was sent to Poughkeepsie, New York. I live in Connecticut, so it was about 2 hours away. I was sent there, and I had been a visual merchandiser at Forever 21 for like 3 years at this point. So I'm like, okay, visual merchandising, how different could it be? As soon as I got there, my first week, I had flu-like symptoms. And again, I thought it was the stress. I was going to be away from home for 2 months. It was, I was going to a city or a town that I never been to. I was nervous. I thought it was the stress that was causing me to get sick. Mind you, it was summertime, so that should have been a red flag, but whatever. And so I had like flu-like symptoms my first week there. And then I just started feeling like I couldn't do my job. Everything that I did was really painful. My hands would hurt. That job is very physical, moving mannequins, setting up displays, dressing mannequins. It was really, really hard. And I just didn't understand. I thought something was wrong with me. I'm like, I've been doing this job for 3 years now. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to go to a job and do the same thing. But as my symptoms progressed, I realized that something else might be going on. I went to the emergency room once while I was there. Of course, they didn't find anything. Surprise, surprise. So I went back to work, went about my life. Um, I was in Poughkeepsie from from May to July in 2016. So I came back in 2016, in July of 2016. In August, I had a brain fog. I had an appointment with the primary care who did my blood work, of course, because I told her all of my symptoms, which I believe at the time was just, it was still kind of just flu-like symptoms, mostly fatigue, which is still my main symptom now. She tested me. I was negative for Lyme, even though she mentioned Lyme too. She thought it was Lyme, but the test was negative. However, my ANA was positive. Now, ANA can indicate positive ANA can indicate anything from cancer to arthritis to lupus. Realistically, the next step was to see a specialist because she didn't have any idea. I needed to get more testing done. So I went to 3 rheumatologists. This was probably over the next year or so. The first rheumatologist I went to told me that if I lost weight, I would be fine. He also told me that it might be fibromyalgia. He tried to diagnose me or try to prescribe me with high blood pressure medicine, even though I had low blood pressure. He thought that, I don't know why he thought that was a good idea. I think it was because he thought that I had Raynaud's and he wanted to get my circulation moving, but I would rather be cold than to have my blood pressure be even lower than what it was. Like, so obviously I didn't take it and I did not see that doctor any longer. Thank you, Living Healthy. Let me know if you have any questions or if I'm talking too fast or anything. I'm just trying to get through my story. And it's been a while. It's like I said, it's been almost 3 years since I was bit. So I have my notes here and I'm going through it. The second rheumatologist I went to, she diagnosed me with gabapentin, which I think a lot of people with Lyme still take. I know that a lot of people in the chronic illness community overall take it because it's prescribed for nerve pain, and that is a common factor in autoimmune diseases. And the third rheumatologist I went to told me that I needed a sleep study. She thought that I just wasn't sleeping enough, despite me telling her that no matter how much I sleep, I'm still tired. And that's something that I'm still going through to this day. I explaining it to her. I told her that it didn't matter if I slept 4 hours or 10 hours. I felt the same. I could sleep 8 hours. I felt it doesn't matter how much I sleep. I always feel the same. She didn't think that I was really sleeping, I guess, but I wasn't comfortable with any of those answers. So the first three rheumatologists, obviously I kept going to different doctors because I wasn't comfortable. I didn't feel like I had an answer. I didn't feel like I knew what was going on with me. And I didn't feel like they cared to figure it out. Additionally, the last rheumatologist I went to told me that my ANA wasn't positive. So she told me that it was positive, but it wasn't considered positive enough to be seeing a rheumatologist. So where was I supposed to go? My primary care told me that I needed a rheumatologist, and the rheumatologist told me that I didn't need to be there. I was lost. At this point, I was going to my chiropractor, who's awesome. I love him. He's actually like a family friend, so we kind of have like a different type of understanding of one another. He tested me for Lyme again, I think, and he wanted to test like my nutrient levels to see if I was just deficient in anything, and that was what was causing my symptoms. It came back with low vitamin D and low vitamin B, which I was still taking. So I started taking both of those, and of course it didn't do anything because that's not what my problem is. Obviously I need my vitamin D to go up, and both of those things are essential to having energy and not being fatigued, but it just wasn't enough. So I kept searching. I went to a new primary care. He tested me, he did all the blood work again, since it had been 2 years since I was bit at this point, since all of this started going on. Everything came back negative that he tested me for. However, he thought that it could be a Lyme co-infection. So he put me on doxycycline, and I felt like absolute crap the first time I took it. I could not get out of bed. And according to the side effect information, which says if you have that bad of a migraine or anything like that, it can cause permanent damage. So I stopped taking it. And I decided that I wanted a second opinion. So I went to another primary care, and I looked online, and at this point, I believed I had fibromyalgia because that first doctor had mentioned it, and all of my symptoms were overlapping with that, and I wasn't getting answers from anyone. And fibromyalgia is a clinical diagnosis, so I thought that's what I needed. So I went online. I found a fibromyalgia specialist, and I went to them, and he told me that it wasn't fibromyalgia and it wasn't chronic fatigue syndrome during my first visit. He told me that. So I'm like, okay, well then what is it? So he sent me for more testing. He thought that I might be Epstein-Barr. Epstein-Barr numbers came back 230 something and 260 something. Positive is over 21. So the range is between something in like 30 and positives over 21. My numbers are in the 200s. So I was alarmed. I started doing more research and I found that that is correlated with Lyme. And since the previous doctor had told me that he thought I had a Lyme co-infection, I wasn't taking Epstein-Barr for an answer. So I went back to his primary care after we got the blood work, and he kind of brushed it off. Like, he didn't think it was a big deal that my numbers were that high, and I was freaking out. He said, oh yeah, we got to take care of the Epstein-Barr. That's definitely what's causing you to be so tired. And he gave me ADHD medicine. It wasn't Adderall. I can't remember what it was called, but he told me, like, take this, you won't be tired. He didn't think that I need antibiotics. He didn't think that I needed to address the Epstein-Barr. He didn't think that it could be anything else. And I mentioned while I was there, I think I have Lyme disease. I saw online that these numbers would be correlated. He brushed it off. So that's when I decided that I needed a Lyme specialist. That was, I saw the Lyme specialist in March. That was in probably like February of this year, maybe January. It was the beginning of February. It was near my birthday. So this was the first week in February. By the time I got an appointment with the specialist, it was March 31st. He goes through like all the clinical things before he even draws the blood. He told me that he thought I had Lyme and I think Babesia. Yeah, he thought I had Lyme and he thought I had Lyme and Bartonella and possibly Babesia. So he sent me for blood work. Obviously, since I had already been tested for Lyme probably like 4 times at this point, I had to do the IgNX testing, which he uses in his office anyway. And I like to be completely transparent because maybe someone is watching this or going to see this who is not diagnosed and they won't have this information because I didn't have it. So that's one of the reasons why I share my story. And I'm going to talk about finances, which some people might disagree with. Some people might not want to hear it. Some people might think it's too personal. I don't care because I never had this information. So I think it was something that would have been helpful to me. To know what I was getting into, so I'm going to share it. So I saw the Lyme specialist on March 31st. He clinically diagnosed me with Lyme and Bartonella. He thought that I needed to be tested for all the co-infections. Some of them went through Quest Diagnostics, which is the locally what we use here, and some of them went through IgNX. So he wanted Lyme and Babesia done through IgNX because Quest Diagnostics couldn't test for every strand of Babesia. The Lyme test alone is $250 at IgNX. The Babesia tests were like $160 each, so I had to opt out. I have bills. Like, I am a newlywed. We live in an apartment. We have carpet. I don't need to get into that, but I just couldn't afford it at that time because he also doesn't accept insurance, which is the case with most Lyme specialists. The visit was $300. If I would have got all the testing that he wanted me to do, it would have been an additional like $500. I ended up just doing the $250. So the visit was $550 out of my pocket. When I got the blood work back from Quest, I found out that I have Bartonella, Babesia, Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Candida. Obviously, we knew about the Epstein-Barr. I'm missing something. Mycoplasma, Candida, Babesia, Bartonella, Q fever. So we found out about all those things. Along with those results, I also got a $600 bill. So not only did my diagnosis take me over 2 years, it cost me over $1,000 just to diagnose. And that doesn't even include my treatment, which is mostly out of pocket too, because it's mostly herbal. He did put me on some antibiotics at first, which I talked about on my last live, if you want to go back and watch it. Yeah, so here we are. So I haven't been tested again. I got those results the first and second week in April. I don't know what has changed since then. I've tried a few different protocols. Right now I'm not doing strictly M-coil. As far as treatment, I'm doing strictly M-coil. I'm doing some herbs to support my symptoms, help out with my symptoms. But yeah, that's what happened. 2 years and over $1,000 later, here I am, still treating, still trying to figure out what works best for my body. I will say the moral of the story is do not stop advocating for yourself. For one, in the beginning, if I would have gone to the doctor when I had that rash, I wouldn't be where I am today. I probably would have went on Doxy. I probably would have been fine. I probably would be in remission. I should have told my job that I couldn't work those crazy hours and that, I needed to go to the doctor. Something was wrong and I needed to get checked out. There's so much things that I could have done along the way. However, I'm very proud of myself that I was able to get through 7 doctors and get a diagnosis, because a lot of people would have given up. A lot of people would have went to that first doctor and be like, yeah, I'm fat. I need to lose some weight and I have fibromyalgia. So I'm just going to take whatever he gives me. And I've never been the type of person to stick up for myself, honestly. So I'm glad that something in my brain told me that I needed to. And that is why, one of the reasons why I have my blog, because I want to inspire others to get their answers too. We deserve answers. So yeah, that is my diagnosis story. If you have any questions, I'm most active on Instagram. I only go live here though. So if you want to talk to me while I'm here, this is the place to do it. I'm going to be going live. I think I have the next 2 Sundays scheduled. One more Sunday. I might do another one after that, but that's the last of this 4-part series. I'm honestly not sure what I'm going to talk about yet. I might go into some things about the amp coil. I'm not going to say that. Take that back because I don't actually know what I'm going to do yet. Just kind of depends on brain fog and what I can handle, but I enjoy going live. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy just being able to express it. We all know with brain fog, reading and writing is not the easiest thing to do. So this is much easier for me. I'm drugfree.spoonie on Instagram. If you have any questions, if you just want to talk it out, if you need advice, I'm obviously not a doctor, but I know how to talk to them and I know how to get to an answer if you need help with that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun as always talking to you guys today, and always feel free to reach out to me. Oh Lord, I gotta go. Feel free to reach out to me and with any questions or comments or suggestions or anything like that. And happy Sunday. Have a good one.